Hello, hello. It's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. It is Sunday, March 10th, 2024. I hope everybody is well. I'm going to be opening a psychic development circle in April. I will have it up on my website this week. I'm going to limit it to like 6 to 8 people. And I'll send out an email. So if you are subscribed to my email at myspiritualfriend.com, you'll get an update when it goes up, and there'll be a discount, I think, if you sign up before a certain amount of time. I'm thinking I'm going to do it on a Friday evening, to be honest with you. Just the weeknights are really hard for me with my kids. And so I was just thinking that not late, but, like starting around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And each circle lasts about an hour and a half. And I believe I'm going to do 5 weeks this time. And you will learn how to connect with your own intuition, and you will learn how to develop your own intuition, and you will learn how to give a message. And by the end of it, you will be able to give a message to another person. That's that. So, and it is not me lecturing. I don't believe in lecturing. I don't think that helps anybody develop their intuition. So I have 2 people on the list so far. I've got Devry and Amy. Devry, I got your email. I apologize again. I did not respond, just virtue of the way my days went. It wasn't intentional. I really didn't mean to respond. It's going to happen. Hi, Regine. We'll link the PayPal just in case anyone wants it. Let me find it here. Now, I want to remind people, if you're going to do the $20 questions that are email readings only, you have to scroll below. Like, it's on the same page as where you sign up for a private reading. It's just below it. It's in a different purchase section, because the one for my readings, where you do private readings, you're scheduling through a calendar system I have. So it's below that. I don't want to have a separate page because I already have so many pages on my website. So if you're doing that, just scroll down and you'll get the $20 reading. And someone said that on the emails when I sent it out, it didn't work, but when I click on it, it works. So if someone else can tell me if it works or not, if you click on the emails that I send out, if the $20 thing works and gets you to the page that you need to, if it's not working for you, let me know, because I don't know what to do, because I clicked on the same email she sent me and it worked. So, okay, Regine. How are you, Amy? So I usually am late. I'm not today. I mean, like late. I did have some issues with the internet, so that's why I put 4:03 or something like that instead of 4 o'clock, because it just wasn't connecting. And I've got Regine 03 on there. Let me just look. Oh, got you for 2. So if Amy and Regine want to start asking, you're more than welcome to. I don't really have any other announcements. Time has changed. You all know that. My hair is like, whoop, what's going on? Oh, see, it's that mirroring thing. Whatever. We did ice skating today. Isn't that exciting? It was my daughter's birthday yesterday. I was joking because they were sitting in the backseat. We're driving back from ice skating. I was like, oh, look, you're 7-11 now, because one's 7 and one's 11. Oh, I think I'm quite funny. Is it just laggy? Is that why I feel like I'm like talking to myself? So there you are. What do I need to know right now? Okay, Amy, how is Grace feeling about me? Okay, perfect. You said I've been doing her manifestations and you're seeing her name everywhere. Okay, perfect. So what I want you to look at when you're doing manifesting, then I'm just going to give you a little coaching on that. How it kind of happens like that. Actually, I'm going to give you a perfect analogy. Okay, so my friend that I went to who arranged the circus stuff, He and his partner own a costume shop in New York City. When I say costume shop, I don't mean Halloween costumes. I mean, like, they've done the outfits and things that like Cher wears and Madonna and Britney Spears, and they've done Broadway shows and movies, and like they do Disney on Ice and the circus, like the Ringling Brothers. Like, they build these costumes. They're not the designers, they're the builders. So consider yourself the designer of your manifestation. You get an image in your head of what you want, and you kind of project that into the universe of like, this is what I'm desiring right now. And so that's the designer. So when he gets the design, it's literally like what you remember those Barbie drawings where like you'd like do the little rubbing of the Barbie thing and it had like the outline and then you'd color in the outfit. So that's a very simplistic version, but they have these drawings and they have like all the colors and flowers and whatever they want on there for their final product. And they might say like, you know, I want whatever. So like, sorry, I was gonna say glitter or crystals or whatever, because I don't think you can really draw glitter and crystals. So then, hi, Deborah. So then when he gets it, after Brian's done the negotiating of all the prices and all of that stuff of how much it'll cost, Brian looks at it and he has to figure out how to cut the pattern to make this, like, whether it's billowy or, you know, like have a lot of volume to it, and figure out how to do that and how to get it to look like what this person wants. And they have to do measurements of the person. And there's like all this stuff that happens behind the scene. And then they get like a first fitting where he's got, you know, he's built the costume, but not in the same fabric he's going to use. It's in like maybe in muslin or something cheaper, so that you can just see how it fits on them. And then the designer can go, well, I'd like it like this. I'd like it like make little adjustments or changes. It doesn't seem to fit quite like that. And there may be several fittings in between. And I sort of liken before you get to the final product where you're like, I could have never made this. Like, I could have never imagined this to be so amazing, right? So yeah, I had this design, but maybe they find a different material that's just like perfect, that gives it just, I don't know, whatever. Like it's even better than the designer could have imagined, right? And I liken her name is showing up to like, you've got the first fitting in right now. You see that your idea is there, it's planted. So instead of going, well, why isn't it the end product? Just go, oh, it's happening. And they're doing a lot of design work on the back end here. I think that is something that will help you kind of, instead of thinking like, oh, it's not here yet, is it really happening, right? Because it is happening. It's just you're sort of seeing the first fitting part, which is not going to look anything like the end result. I hope that helps all of you. I should make a video on that for TikTok. Right. So it's just like the universe saying like, yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Just relax. Okay. This is how it works. I still cannot figure out my, like, cause it's mirrored. So I can't figure out, I think it's called mirrored. I'm saying that. And somebody out there is probably like, no, ding dong. That's not called that. So just stick with it. All right. And then when you start to see that stuff, try not to doubt that it's showing up. Try not to doubt that like, oh, maybe I'm not doing it right. Like by asking me questions about it. So I might make you, ask a different question. I'm saying that because I really want you to learn to trust in the manifesting process. And you decide how they're feeling. I know that sounds really crazy, but it's true. Like you get to decide, oh, she's starting to like notice me. She's starting to like really take an interest. She's really like, however you want it to be right now, or you can be all the way at the end. But sometimes that's hard for people to believe, like that, like, oh, this person, because you've put her on a pedestal for a while, could actually just want to fall head over heels in love with you and be with you. You're doubting what she feels. Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. In manifesting and affirmations and all of that's a law of assumption. When they say everybody is you pushed out, it's saying she's just reflecting how you feel inside. Hi, Ashley. How are you? So she's just reflecting your inner emotion and your inner feelings. So if you're like, oh, I'm not sure if she really likes me, so why don't you step into practicing and seeing how it happens of like, of course she's into me. Of course it's, it's fine. She's totally into me. She totally thinks about me all the time. She's so excited when I show up for yoga. She looks forward to seeing me. She's trying to figure out how we can hang. Like, just have fun with it. So just keep having fun with it and don't doubt it. Because here's the thing is like, you could tell yourself the story that, oh my God, she can't stand me all you want, but you don't know if that's true, but you're totally comfortable with telling that story. So instead of saying, I am still shy, that could be another one. I'm really comfortable in my own skin. I'm really comfortable with who I am. And I'm totally at ease with myself when I'm around her. The thing about when people say like, oh, do these affirmations for 7 days and you'll see it work. Well, you might start to see some shifts, but it's not going to stick yet. Because the truth is like, if I were, okay, I'm going to tell you an example that's absolutely true. And I think it's funny. So in New Jersey, I live in New Jersey, and there's like a state law, you can't pump your own gas. It's like illegal to pump your own gas. I would do it every day. I would do it every time. And when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night, just reaffirm it until it's a natural thought of yours to be like, oh, I am so comfortable around her. Like where that becomes a natural feeling and thought. That I would just say that. And like the minute you think like, oh, it's so uncomfortable, like, nah, that's not the truth. The real story is I'm super comfortable around her. So if you're not fully believing that you can be like bold and like extroverted in general, start with her. Because that creates a special bond, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So you can't in New Jersey, you can't pump your own gas. It's illegal. I learned to drive in Wisconsin. I was 16, started pumping my gas at 16. Lived in Texas, and then like when I moved to New York, I didn't have to because I didn't have my car up here. I moved to Hoboken and I brought my car up. And I haven't had a pump, like really, I think in the last, when did I come up here? Almost 18 years. I haven't lived in Texas. I've lived up in the Northeast for 18 years. I've had to pump my gas a handful of times, like literally. I think when we were driving in New York, like once or twice, and I can't remember if I needed to fill up I filled up my mom's tank a couple of years ago. Like I literally had not. So yeah, I could pump gas, but I literally would have to take a minute to figure it out. Like I'd have to like stop and be like, okay, wait, what am I doing again? Which sounds so stupid and absurd, but it is the truth. It's such a basic skill that I had. Like, I mean, I could have done it in my sleep, but then I got out of practice from it. And I am like, oh, it might take me a minute. It doesn't mean I can't figure it out. So my point is like when we say like, I'm working on my self-concept, it needs to be practiced all the time. Your thoughts and what follows I am is something that should be like, kind of like honed and done, polished, every day, because oh my God, I'm going to not be able to do it. But like, if you get out of practice, you got to kind of work your way back in. So make it a standard of practice. So an everyday thing, I pay attention to my thoughts every single day. I pay attention to how I talk to myself every single day. And I do not allow myself, what was it? I had a conversation with a friend the other night, and I noticed I was having a lot of anxiety around it. It was this Thursday night, and I actually had a hard time sleeping because of some of the stuff. And it was like, anyway, I realized like, oh, that's an area I still need to work on. I still need to refine, self-doubts, things like that. That things will come up like that. It doesn't mean it'll never happen. It just means you have to go, I guess I got a little bit more than I thought I did. Because that's a little triggering, blah, blah, blah. So like, you do have to work on it. And it's totally okay to be introverted. I'm introverted. It doesn't mean that I can't like have conversations out in public. I'm comfortable I'm a little awkward in new settings, not awkward, just quieter or until I kind of figure out what the rules are. And I think there's culturally things that are different. So I don't want to, I don't want to offend anybody. And I kind of want to figure out what's the smoothest. Like when I went out to LA, I felt very uncomfortable. There's different social stuff out there. And the woman who was like, when I went in this group thing, the woman who was running the circle was sort of toxic positivity. Like she was like, okay, now don't say anything negative at all. I'm like, that's not like, that's just not me. Like, I'm like, it's not like sitting, I'm a negative person, but I acknowledge that I had a cold shower in my hotel room. And she was like, it was like the little motel place. And she was like, couldn't handle that. So, and I know that there's a lot of like, when I've just learned about different social circles out there, there's some weird, like, not that Hollywood's totally weird, but there is some weird social, like, gatekeepery weird thing, like social hierarchy. And I think with my neurodivergence, I just think social hierarchy is like the biggest bunch of shit in the world. And I think, like, just talk to people like people and get to know them. And you don't need to get anything from anybody to just want to have a nice conversation with somebody. I don't know. Hi, Claudina. How are you? And it's 1,000% okay to be introverted, but you can also just decide that you're like, just change that narrative around her. I know it sounds like, oh, that's just so easy, but I do think that you can change your brain to think different things. 40 days is amazing, and keep doing it. And it's okay to still be shy, and it's okay to be introverted, but keep doing it. It took me, like, honestly, like 6 months of sleeping with affirmations on my head every night to really like feel like where I stood in front of a mirror and I was like, I look really pretty. And I didn't have a shower. I didn't have any makeup on. I pretty much just woke up where I could say that to myself and not need to have a certain aspect showing to feel okay saying that. And it does help long term. I promise it helps long term, but you just have to keep doing it. And I think that's what people don't really get is like, oh, I have to put the work in. I have to show up and do it. I have to be consistent about it. Just like when you're learning a language, just like when you're learning a new craft or skill, just like when you're learning to play an instrument. And we're oftentimes, I don't know. It took me a really long time to understand that the people that are really good at stuff, it's not because there's something special that I'm not. I'm really good at doing readings. I think I am. It doesn't mean I'm always 100% perfect, right? There's no athlete that's 100%. They don't have, who has like 100% free throw, whatever. I don't know, like however you do the statistics. Like, there's nobody that's 100% all the time. But I got better at this because I practice. This is practicing for me. So I'm not going to tell you how she's feeling because you get to decide how she's feeling. I feel like I'll tell you this, but this is not to answer your question. You get to ask another question because I also think talking about the manifestation stuff is really valuable. And so what I am going to tell you is that she's noticing a change, and she finds it curious, but she's not fully on board yet because you're also not fully on board yet. So ask me a different question, because since that's something you're practicing manifesting on, I don't want to. Because I think that's a great thing to, like, sometimes just have to like stick with it and go, okay, this is happening. Like, I have so many ones that I'm like, it's not showing up yet, but I'm like, it's done. It's happening. It's done. I'm not worried about it. It's done. And you can even decide she's manifesting you. You're finishing her classes in 3 weeks. Okay. Yeah, it's just like, she'll make the move then. I mean, I think the nice thing about, maybe this is my projection, like the nice thing about being gay is that you don't have to like decide that there's some gender role. It's just like, you don't have to feel like, oh, I said April. Okay. Then I guess that would put you in April, wouldn't it? So then just decide and stick with it, and just be brave enough to see what would happen if you stick with it and you insist on it. Like, no, brain, you get to see, I'm like, my eyebrows. You don't know. I don't think there's any rules. I don't know. You'd have to ask somebody who's been in relationships with same-sex people, because I don't know. Anybody on here want to share? I don't know. I don't know if there's rules. I think, like growing up, I remember hearing like, there's, oh, guys would totally love it if you asked them out. And then when I was friends with guys, they were like, they had different opinions about it. They seem to not, they say that, but then their actions are totally different. And I was also friends. I mean, listen, I allowed a lot of douchebags in my life for a long time. So I don't think they treated women very well. So it's awkward for everybody. I think it's awkward because everybody's worried about rejection. I think everybody is worried about like, what if they don't like me back, or what are they going to think when I don't think that that's, wait, it was who gay? Do you know if Grace is? Is that the question you're asking? I'm leaning towards fluid. I feel like she's fluid. Itchy nose. So in case anybody, because people weren't really on here yet, if you missed it, I'm going to open up a psychic development class in April. I just have to pick the date. It's going to be after, if any of you celebrate Easter, it's going to be after that, just because my mom will be here and stuff like that. I don't want to like rush it. It's going to be on a Friday evening, probably around 6:30 or 7 my time. So not too late, but it's just, it's easier than trying to do it on a school night, because school nights I have to help with homework, and plus we have a whole bunch of after school activities and stuff. So it's just easier. And I know, I don't know, some people don't go out on Fridays. So yeah. Okay. So was that your question? And then Regine, you said, what do I need to know right now? I would really like to know about the laundromats. What price range do you see me purchasing the first one, please? How does it work? Do you have to know if you have psychic abilities? No. Oh, happy Mother's Day to you. That's right. I did hear it was Mother's Day because I saw a post about Kate. Princess Kate, Lady Kate, whatever they call her. Okay, so you don't have to be psychic. Like, you don't have to be like super developed. It's for beginners or advanced. It's learning. I will teach you how to connect with your intuition, what it feels like, how to recognize it, and how to take what you're getting and develop it into a message. I'm giving you the core tools to develop it, and you can continue to develop it from there. You get practice, and you get immediate feedback to know if what you're getting in validation is in fact real. Hi, Jeremy. I don't know if you just heard, I was talking about law of assumption just now. So Jeremy, I do free questions here. I do $12. It kind of starts to show up as you're doing it. I don't know if, did you catch that bit? Because I don't want to repeat myself if you heard it. I'll do a repeat if you want. So you don't, in doing the psychic development, you don't have to be, you can be an absolute beginner. And there's other people on here who've taken it before. I don't know if they're on here yet right now, but some of my other followers are on here, have participated. And you get the tools, and then you get immediate feedback. So like, if you were to say like, well, this is what I felt, or this is what I saw, or this is what I heard, someone could say like, yeah, that makes sense. Here's how it makes sense. I was cutting out. Okay. So what I said is the example of like when you're doing, like you're creating this design of what you want, right? This idea of what you want, your celebrity crush, right? You imagine it. Say you did the state akin to sleep. I don't know if you know that technique. So I don't know, Julia, are you subscribed to my email? Because if you are, I'm going to send out an email this week and it'll have the link to purchase to like connect in the circle. So what you do is, if you're putting the design out, right? It's like, so my friend owns a costume shop in New York, and he's done like costumes for, or the clothes and the outfits for like Cher and Britney Spears and Madonna, and for movies and Broadway and all of that stuff. So it's like professional costumes. And so they have a designer come with the design, and then he has to figure out how to build it. So that's what's going on behind the scenes when you set your thing out. You're the designer. And then behind the scenes, the universe is going, okay, I got to figure out how to build this. What shape does something need to be in order to make it fill out this way, right? So that's what's happening behind the scenes. And then they get like a first fitting. And this is where John has taken and he's figured out what the pattern needs to be, but he builds it with like muslin or some kind of less expensive material than the final thing, so that you can kind of get an idea how it's going to come out. So another person on here said like, oh, I'm manifesting, and it doesn't matter if it's celebrity crush, like that it literally doesn't matter. It's the same as manifesting any specific person. First of all, you have to like take the idea that they're any different than you are, or that they're above you, right? And then you have to just decide like, this is happening, this is how it's going to happen. Of course they are interested in me, or whatever it is. So then they come back for the first fitting, right? And they've got this like kind of jagged thing. So maybe you start to see that person's name everywhere, or things start to pop up. Like she said, oh, I start to see her name everywhere. That's the first fitting. So then you keep persisting, like, oh, this is happening. It's done. It's fine. Like, because when the designer goes to my friend John and says, here's what I want to design, she doesn't go, well, like, I don't know, is it going to happen just because you did the first fitting? It's like, no, this is part of the process. This is how it happens. So you sort of just have to decide you're going to do that. So when you're asking me, is this going to happen? You're doubting the process, and you're like, well, I put the design work in, but I don't know if this thing can really fulfill this. What I would recommend to give you a little bit more confidence in that is look at the way that you've put energy out into the universe and it's come to you already in other ways, even if it's in a negative one. You're interested in my class? Yay, Claudina. Okay. So it's like I said, it's going to be on Friday nights. And it'll start in April. It'll be like starting the second half of April. It'll be a 5-week series. By the last one, I don't know why 5, but that's what I'm doing. I've done 6 before. I've done 4. I feel like 4 is not quite enough. 6 sometimes I feel like is hard. And it's small, so it's important that we show up. So it'll be like 5 weeks, and they're about an hour and a half each session, closer to an hour and a half, to be honest with you. Sometimes we can get it done in a little bit less, but they're a commitment because you're showing up to be with the same people every week for 5 weeks, because it creates like a sacred, connection and a sense of comfort and familiarity. Yay! So, okay. So let's see. Regine, let me do your question. You want to know what's coming up for you? And then you said you really want to know about the longer mounts. What price range do you see me purchasing the first one in, please? So, okay, Regine, sorry about kind of skipping around there or whatever. I love talking about manifesting. I really feel like even I manifested my abilities a little bit, because I just decided like, I'm really good at this. Like, and got to like, which builds confidence. I know that sounds dumb, and I get really clear messages, whatever. That was one of the thoughts that I reprogrammed for a long time. Okay. So the initial thing I get is around 50K, which seems like inexpensive, but it might be a smaller facility, the first one, and then I feel like there will be a second that might be closer to 100. But it's interesting because they just showed me something with 50,000 and then $1. So I don't understand this. Like, there's some weird deal that I feel like you're going to make where it's like 50,000 and $1 or something like kind of ridiculous. That sounds absurd, but I feel like it might be a little smaller place for the first one. And 50 sounds low to me, so I don't understand that. And I'd like to think that Florida is cheaper than where I'm at, but also I feel like everywhere is just getting expensive because of people being greedy and everything else. How do you meet who? Them? The laundromat people? I don't understand. Who are they? Um, I honestly feel like you find it through like an advertisement. So I don't know if it's like if there's like a kind of business page of like businesses selling, because I don't feel like it's like you just walk in and start checking out the laundromat. I feel like there's a service that for selling businesses. So I don't know. I keep getting it shown as like Craigslist or something like that, where there's like a listing, but it feels like for businesses. Or maybe even just Google laundromats for sale. I know that sounds dumb. Like, I don't feel like you're meeting it because you just happen to run into them. I feel like it's an intentional, this is what I'm looking at. Hi, Johnny. My name is Annalisa. Sweetheart is reserved for people who know me. No, these are not free questions. They are paid readings. They're $12 a reading, and 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. I mean, look, that kind of gives me the ick. I got to be honest. You just said my name's Annalisa. Like, okay. I know you're trying to be nice, but I just feel like it's also a boundary thing. When someone tells you, please don't call me that, because like that's reserved for people that know me. Kind of icky. I would reach out to her. I don't know what the 50,000 is about. So maybe you have to put 50 down for something. I don't know exactly how that works. You know what? I'm just gonna do that. Just because that really bothered me. That's my little boundary. Like, if I ask you specifically not to call me something and then you do and you followed up, you just lost access. Sorry, not to be an a-hole. It's just, that's not okay. We need to learn to be respectful. That's because I hid him from the channel. So it's funny. I don't know that it's that one. Deborah, you're actually first, but I don't think you were here initially, and then I was yammering. So Regine, I feel like I don't know that it's going to be that one, but it's interesting. I feel like it wouldn't hurt to reach out, but there's something about 50,000. So maybe it's like I have to put 50,000 down first. And that's why I said I was like 50 seems too low. I don't know why I'm seeing that, because I saw 50 and 100. Um, sorry, that's kind of how I reset my nervous system. So I'll do that like in the car. I'm just gonna go. Um, it's interesting. I feel like reaching out to her, but I don't feel like it's gonna happen with that one. But I feel like there's something about needing to reach out to her, and maybe it's just getting comfortable with like asking, um, like for practice. And then what's your second question? And then Devry, what's your question? And then Claudina, I have you on here too. Hang on, let me see if I can see this whole. Okay, a general for Regina. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to see because somebody wrote a message in there and I can't see the whole thing. Okay. Malfunction this past week. Should I look into a different cause? I mean, it's better, but I'm a bit off. My trip on Friday. Okay. All right. So a general for Regine. What is that's interesting. So they showed me like, do you know what I think it's called a sickle, where they used to like cut like wheat or but it's interesting because I feel like I saw that and I was like, oh, I don't think like death is coming or anything like that. But it feels like needing this week because I said specifically for this week, and it feels like you're needing to really like not it's I'm trying to think of the term for when you go and gather your vegetables and things like that. But I feel like it's actually to like you need to start like cutting ties with people. A Sith. Okay, whatever. It's like, it's like that little long whatever. But yes, that thing. Like where but to me it feels like you need to start cutting some people out this week. Um and getting rid of the things that are not working for you. It's like I feel like you've been thinking about it, you've been feeling guilty about it, you feel like there's something you're, like but it feels like they're saying specifically this week. And I don't know, maybe there's something planetary that would like line up with your birth chart that would explain what's going on and all of that stuff. But they're just saying like it's time to cut those ties this week, specifically this week. Like stop feeling guilty about it. This is the time. And they're saying like it's not because you're mean or they're so horrible or whatever, but it's like it's going to allow to make room for new things to come in. Your harvest. That's what I was thinking of. Harvest. A little bit of both, actually. I feel like I'm leaning more towards family stuff. So maybe it's even not completely cutting somebody out of your life, but maybe it's deciding that you're setting a boundary for drama. So I have, I don't know what's going on. I don't talk to my sisters because they're awful, quite frankly. And my mom not, she's estranged from them as well. But there was a period where she'd be frustrated by their behaviors and the way they were, like leaving awful messages and things like that. And she would like, so I had made it clear, like, I'm done with them. Like, and so she would like go on. And then I finally looked at the pattern of where I was listening to her And it was like, a lot of times of her complaining and then like telling me all about the things. And I finally said, like, I'm going to give you 10 minutes and we'll talk about it. And then we're done. Because otherwise, like, what's the point of me cutting them out if I'm spending all these like hours just enveloped in all the stuff you're dealing with them? So I'm happy to listen for the 10 minutes, but after that, like, I can't, because this is not like, I've got kids, I've got stuff to do. That was another boundary. So maybe it's about you saying, like, I'm not going to be involved in this part of the drama. I'm choosing to step out of it. So I don't necessarily need to cut them completely out, but like when they're droning on and doing like the help seeking, help rejecting type thing where they're like, oh, I've got all these problems. And you're like, well, you could do. And they're like, oh, but I can't do that. Like, but no, not that way. Like, I want this, but not that way. Like that kind of thing. Then you can just like listen and not enter, and then just like kind of like let go of it and move on with your day. Or know that like it's okay to not answer the phone just because they've called, and you can get back to them when you're ready. Or if they're the type of person, I have had friends in my life who just all they do, they immediately I'll pick up the phone and like they just unload. Um, yeah. So it's like they're saying like this week, it's time. This is like it's game time. And it's because it allows you to make room for good things coming in. It actually does feel like family though, gotta be honest. Um, when you learn to set the boundaries, they're uncomfortable. And people who get boundaries set against them, like that guy, like, I'm going to keep doing what I want to do. Okay, bye. It's not for you to control somebody else, but it is like for you to be okay saying, like, I'm not comfortable with this. And you know who it is. Great. Okay, Devry, my dear, ask your question. You're going through this with your sister and your mom. Huh? I thought about reaching it. Yeah, you do sow what you reap. Oh, that's good. A general reading? Okay. They showed me with you is because I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I saw like it's this is like kind of a combination of things. So it's the first thing I thought was like a duck in water, and you can see how the water just glides around them. Everything's just gliding around them. And it's that idea of so there's two parts to this. So it's that idea of like when you're in, in all of it, the water, the flow, whatever, that you can just let the water glide around you. Like, so instead of feeling like I'm going upstream and this is all really horrible and terrible, it's like a duck doesn't sit around and think about how exhausting it is to swim. They just let everything kind of go around them and move around them and move with it. Um, the other way I saw it was almost like a submarine little camera, whatever that's called. I am no aficionado of the submarine. Um, Kind of coming up out of water, and it's the other idea of like similar to just because you don't see it happening in front of you, it's like there's a lot more going on under the surface than just what you see poking out. So just what you see of like the jobs, waiting on the jobs and all of that stuff, like you're not seeing a lot of action, but there's a lot more going on under the surface. And sort of like being patient for that, because I see it's like sort of like, starting to come to the surface, but you're not quite seeing it there. That's what I asked for this week. What's going on for you this week? What do you need to know about this week? And it's interesting because, when you email me, you said like, I'm at peace just that I know about this. Um, it feels like whatever mindset you've kind of shifted into, even if it's like not the like hardball, like I've got this, it's mine, I'm manifesting whatever. There is a sense of feeling more empowered now too, by the way. You're very welcome, Regine. Oh, you're sorry, that's for Julia. Sorry. I feel more empowered this week. I don't know if any of that resonates, but that's the feeling I get, is that they're wanting you to recognize that feeling of being more empowered rather than feeling like I'm just being blown around in the wind and I can't handle it. it's not fun learning to set boundaries, and it's not fun when those boundaries mean like, I don't like this behavior anymore. I'm choosing to like not participate in this, and it may mean that you have to say goodbye to some people, or maybe just temporarily, or decrease your amount of connection time. And it's unfortunate, but also it's a relief. I mean, I haven't talked to my sisters. My one sister was my 40th birthday, and she didn't even wish me happy birthday. She just called me. And then my other sister since my like 6.5 years. Hi, Jennifer. How are you? Welcome. So that's that. And now I have Claudine. You had 3 questions. I feel like I felt before nothing is happening, even though I've tried manifesting and good thoughts. So it's literally like, just, you have to just stick with it. Like I've been talking about, you just have to stick with it. It's just a constant where you just feel like, well, it's not about being positive all the time, but it's just deciding this is how things go. So if you're like, well, I guess this is how it is, and it's like, then that's how it is. Like that's how it shows up. It took me a long time for me to like, there's certain things going on in my life where I'm like, I want this. I'm, like where I do have to work on it. I do have to go, nope, I know this works. I know this is how it works. I know it doesn't necessarily even have to be emotional. Like it doesn't even have to be like, you have to get in the emotions. When people say that, I'm like, no, you don't. I realized I manifested when my kids were born, not my oldest one. But after that, with my little ones, I was like, I remember saying like, oh, they're going to be born on this day or this day. It's so weird. But, and there was like zero doubt in my mind. I think I said with my youngest, I was like, oh, she's going to be either born on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. I think she went on Wednesday. I can't remember. Just try not to give up. I know it's easier said than done. Then what's the reason of even trying then, if even saying how you feel gets those exact results? I'm just confused, but I'll figure it. So, I can definitely do a mediumship reading, Jennifer, but these are paid readings, and the link for payment is above. It's only $12, and 30% goes to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. That is the cheapest mediumship reading you're going to get. Unless you find somebody over on TikTok that's doing them for free, but it's the cheapest one you're going to get from me. You're very welcome. And I'm very sorry about your loss. So what I'm saying is, you don't have to feel it. Whatever technique you use, like it's knowing yourself and knowing this technique works for me, so I'm going to do it that way. So feeling it makes you feel like that's the thing is going to get better. But like for me, like I'm working on losing some extra fat that I garnered because of MCAS and COVID throwing my body into fucking crazy warp speed, gaining weight. When I started doing, I was like, look, I'm just gonna I couldn't I'm not really going by anybody else's, like, you have to do this, this, and this. I'm increasing fiber and make sure I get enough protein, and I work out 3 days a week, do strength training 3 days a week, and I'm, make sure I'm walking and things like that. And when you're doing basically body recomposition, because I'm doing, progressive load for strength training, it just takes time. And I was like in doubt. I didn't even look at the time about it, but I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm just going to keep doing this. And then I had 2 dreams. They were both like where I was like in a pair of pants, and then it was getting bigger and bigger. I'm like, that's it. That's my sign that it's taken. And I just decided. So like my scale has not changed at all. My clothes fit me looser, but like, I just decided not to just talk to my body. You're doing such a great job. You're doing great. Like, and it wasn't about like, I have to have a feeling, because I didn't know what the feeling was I was really looking for. It was just like deciding this is it, it's done. And realizing like when I moved to New York, I lost a ton of weight. And cause I for like 6 months before, I was like, oh, I'm going to be walking so much when I'm there, I'm just going to lose a ton of weight. And it was like, so like just knowing it. Oh, you're saying when I have my negative moments of crying and feeling despair, you said feeling that brings in those exact thoughts. So I'm confused. Okay. So what I'm saying is if you allow yourself to go down to the tunnel of like, and just sitting there, then yeah, that will bring that in. If you have those thoughts and cry a little bit and go, okay, and recognize in that moment, like, oh, this is an area I need to work on, and then soothe yourself and refocus that. Well, like not through shaming, but like, okay, this is valid. Why might I feel this way? Those are valid feelings. However, and then redirect. But if you just allow yourself to sit and like marinate in all those feelings, then yeah, you're going to bring that in. One moment of despair will not destroy it. It's when you stay in it. And I have to remind myself that I'm seeing a snapshot of you, right? I'm seeing when you show up here and like whatever. I'm like, stop thinking that way, because in my mind, I'm like, ah, she's always thinking that way. So maybe I need to manifest differently for you. Oh, thank you, Starry Sky. You're very welcome. And it's nice to see you. I'm going to be offering, I don't know if you're interested in this, Starry Sky, a psychic development circle starting in April. It'll be 5 weeks and it'll be on Friday evenings. So it's like starting at 6:30 or 7. I have to start it after a little bit late enough because we do Girl Scouts with one of my daughters. Our troop meeting is on Friday. So, but I'm going to do it Fridays just because weeknights are hard with, having to do schoolwork and homework and all that stuff. And then like getting everybody to bed and they, all of that stuff. Okay, so then I've got Claudina. You asked about first your root canal infection this past week. Should I look at a different cause for the pain? I feel like you have a few things going on. So I feel prominently, I'm like on my upper right, but I also feel like there's something kind of like twinging me here on the upper left back. Like this one feels much more yow. Is the root canal, was it on your upper right? But I also feel like something's brewing on my upper left. So this feels like I feel the pain much more prominent here. On this side, it's just like an annoying, like tiny little ice pick stabby feeling, but constant. I had a client who's an attorney, and she was telling me how like, and she's like, you can't even imagine how I like, because she's in the South, people have like kissed her hand in the courtroom, like other attorneys. I'm like, oh no, like no. She's like, oh yeah, it's bad. I just thought about that because of the sweetheart thing. Are you here, Claudina? Yeah. Claudina, did she leave? So I don't think that there's another cause for the pain. I feel like it is what it is. Oh, I had an infection in my root canal. It's better, but should I look into another reason for it? I've been off a bit. No, I feel like whatever's going, but okay, wait. So wait, did you answer I think you're delayed. Can you drag the little bar all the way over to the right on the bottom? Okay. So I think you're delayed, and I think I've got your question. So just hang on, let me. Because I just want to connect with this energy to know then, because it's like once I can clear that out, like the knowing, like, yeah, that's how it happened, like where, because there's something else going on. Like, so I don't know which side you started on, but there's something else on the other side. So sleepy. Pardon my yawn. Um, okay, yes, on the right side. So yes, on the right side for worse, and that's where you had your upper right for your infection. Because I feel like there's something else coming on your left side, and it feels more like ton of the right is the root canal. If it is a cap, okay. There's something on the left side, so I think that might be why you're off, because there's something else going on the left side. It feels like if I took a little tiny mini knife and stuck it between my gums, it's a cap that needs to be redone. Okay. And the left is a cap that needs to be redone. I think there's a little bit of, I'm going to say this, I think there's a little bit of more decay under there. So they'll have to remove a little bit because there's a little bit of leakage, and then pop it in and it should be okay. Okay. I think that that's why you're feeling off, but I don't think it's like anything to worry about. And there might be a little underlying viral thing going on, but you'll be fine. And then a trip on Friday. Do you have anything to worry about? I heard yes. I feel like there's going to be some delays and there's going to be some issue with your luggage. But once you're, I don't know if you're flying or whatever, but it's like, I felt like delays and luggage issues. One day this week here, it's supposed to be almost 70 degrees. I can't remember which day it is though. I'm waiting for you to catch up. Waiting for the catch up, Claudina. Okay, so let's see. Then tell me about if you can validate the trip thing, and then let's look at this week. The luggage issue, by the way, feels kind of like instead of me seeing it going around the carousel where I pick it up, but it's like in. I don't know if it goes ahead of you or after you. It's okay. All right, what does she need to know for this week? There's something with your feet. I feel like this is so silly, but this is what I'm seeing. Like I'm seeing almost like you're going by car. Okay. So there's something with your luggage. So I don't understand it then, but it's a feeling about something with the luggage. So it's like there may be delays, maybe you get caught in traffic or something like that, and there's something about your luggage. So maybe you're forgetting to pack something, there's something about your luggage. And the delays may be maybe sometimes they show me stuff just to get me to say that. So there's something with your luggage. I don't know what that means. And then there's delays. So maybe you hit a lot of traffic or there's construction or something like that. But I don't feel like any accidents or anything like that. And once you get there, it's fine. And the return is fine. You're taking stuff to Mexico. Then maybe it's the delays. Maybe there's some delay with like getting through customs or something like that. Maybe there's a holdup there. But it's like there's some kind of delay and it has to do with the luggage. So it might be that you're having delays getting through customs with or through the border with those specific things. Like maybe they're checking them out more or something like that. I don't know, but it's something with the luggage, whatever you're bringing. Again, sometimes it's to get me to show you. They won't necessarily show me exactly what's going on, but it's to show you where the issue is. Then I feel like once you're there, it's fine and the return is fine. So as far as this week, it's interesting because I see there's something around your feet. And it reminds me of when they're showing it to me, like, on the in I think it was just in China, but I might be wrong, where they would bind feet. Maybe it's like Asian culture altogether, but I think it might have just been China. But like binding feet. So I feel like you might be wearing a pair of shoes this week that you really need to wear or have to wear, but they're uncomfortable. And it's sort of like they're like saying, don't do this. But it's like interesting. It's something with your feet and feeling like a bad decision made me feel like my feet were tied up and bound up. So I don't know. Watch your feet this week. Wear comfy shoes. Don't opt out of wearing the terrible shoes. Maybe you'll wear it and then you'll be like, oh my God, I'm so regretful of that. But there's something around your feet this week that seems very important. Do you happen to have some bunions? And I'm leaning again more towards my right. I have some on my left, but I feel like the right one is more prominent. I feel like maybe some joint issues in your toes as well. Your arthritis does affect your feet. Okay. I feel like okay. I feel like they're going to be bothering you this week. So it's like make all the right choices this week because it's going to be a little bit harder this week with your feet. Which also means like they're talking about like getting prepared and being ready for your trip. Give yourself a lot of extra time because I feel like or maybe you had planned on like I'm going to start packing on Thursday and getting stuff together and loading on Thursday and they're sort of like start on Monday. Because I think maybe by Thursday your feet are going to be in too much pain that you're not going to be able to do that. Did you also, they're showing me feet that remind me of my mom's feet, where she obviously wore a lot of pointy shoes for years because her feet are like shaped like pointy shoes. I think they are. They're not literally like that. She's, been kind to her feet for a while, but um, hi, Joelle. Joelle, I know you've been interested in doing a psychic development class in the past. I'm going to start one in April after Easter. I'll send out an email this week with the exact date and stuff, but it'll be on Friday evenings. And it'll be like 6:30 or 7 my time. I know it's later there for you, so I don't know if that's really something you want to do, but I can't do it during the week. And weekends are a little tight just with some of the stuff. Like during the week, weeknights are a little hard just because of homework and all those kind of activities. So I'm just throwing it out there. You like 6:30? Yeah, because I have so some Fridays we have Girl Scouts until like 5:30, so I can't do too close to 6 because then I'm like, I want to have a little settle time before I go. I have my infusion on Friday, so I hope that helps. No, I do wear boots occasionally, using tennis shoes for work. walk the hospital floors, tennis are better. Right. So I just feel like whatever it is, they might be irritating you this week. So it feels like start early so that you're not, I don't know, so that your dogs aren't barking so much and keep you from being able to do what you need to do. Okay. Thank you for trusting me. Julia, I got a payment from you. And then, let me see. Nope, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. What's your question, Julia? I've sent a payment. I got it. Am I needing to make amends with my sister? It would reduce stress for my mom, but I feel I'm so much happier with fakeness for the hell and it's depression. I'm only laughing because I'm like, I realized like when I came up to New York, I was just so happy. Like it was just so much easier to not have to deal with everybody's drama. And then cutting my sisters out. Like I wish I could say like, oh, I really miss them, but I really don't. Like I don't miss all of that stuff that comes around with being involved with them. And some people don't understand because they can't imagine. But the one thing I always tell people is like one of my friends who knows my sisters as well was treated like knows kind of their behavior at this point, and was treated so horribly by my oldest sister. She goes, oh my God, that was like, I've never been spoken to in such a way. It was traumatizing. And I'm like, yep, that's like day in and day out. Like I didn't, my sister would do a lot of the like act completely horrible and they'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm just me. I'm sorry if you don't like me. And I'm like, well, kind of not. I don't like being talked to that way. So point being, I get it. Like for a long time, my mom would be like, oh, she's your sister. And I'm like, okay. Okay. So let's look at it a little differently. How about we look at it, because I'm telling you, no, and this is not psychic. I'm telling you're fine. Just stop worrying about your mom. Your mom is an enabler for that behavior and would rather you continue to tolerate that behavior so she doesn't have to make the boundary change. And boundaries are really uncomfortable to set. Boundaries are really uncomfortable to say like, oh, this is my limit. And you're not telling your sister she has to behave the way, because you can't make anybody do anything. I mean, you can manifest things, but sometimes when who somebody is so ingrained in who we are, it's really hard. Like that's a really hard one, I think, to do. Okay, so let's look at it this way. Let's look at your mom's an enabler. Yeah. So I want to say, when is she going to get on board with starting to set her own boundaries? Something's happening for her next week between them where she's going to see things in a different light. I don't know that she's going to fully make that like leap to set a boundary. She has a lot of guilt and a lot of ideas of like what it is to be a mom. And so it's like, and family, and sort of that idea of like, well, they're families, you just tolerate it. She also feels very responsible for who your sister is. But something's going to happen between them in the next like 10 days is really kind of what I'm getting, where your mom's going to be like, that's not okay. And they're telling me actually that it's actually really only uncomfortable for your mom because of your sister's behavior. It's not, I don't feel like you're doing anything that's like awful. It feels like your sister makes it really, like your sister does these things of like, well, she's your daughter. You have to make her talk to me. You have to make us be friends. You have to make her be okay with my behavior. This is just who I am. She just doesn't accept me for who I am, that kind of stuff. And you're right to not accept somebody for that kind of, emotionally abusive behavior. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't accept you for that. Um, June is going to bring a change as well. Like this is going to be a big year this year and next year for your mom and making some changes and drawing some boundaries. I feel like your sister has more than depression. I also feel like there's some um, lack of accountability. She's very emotionally labile. And there's something about her hair. Does she have like, is her hair thinning? Has she been losing a lot of hair? There's something else going on with her metabolically speaking. Joelle, I got your payment. Does the hair loss make sense? Because I just keep seeing like hair coming out. Okay. There's more going on with her. I don't know that she's not addressing it, but I do feel like it's her personality sort of forces doctors to overlook things and kind of go, this is just your anxiety, or this is just the side effects of this medication. So you wrote she sleeps around all day, and it could just be like a cultural thing, but sleeping around here is like having relations. But we will not slut shame anybody here. I saw something that it was like said like the average person has like 8 partners before they get married or settle down or something like that. And like the thread, like the comment thread following it was so hilarious of like all these women of like, oh, I guess I'm just a whore. Like I thought it was funny. Sorry, I do post that this is not for children. So if you have any children in here, this is most definitely not for children. Okay. So Joelle, what's your question? And then we'll do, if you guys want to do some general questions, like, what's going on in the world. I mean, people are kind of trickling in here, but I'm good with doing some world events, whatever. Or like some people said something like, oh, I guess I'm like I've got me covered and a whole bunch of other people too, or something like that. It was just funny. Like somebody was like 8 in a week. That's what I did when I was in my 20s. It was just funny. Okay. Joelle, are you here, dear? I don't know if you're caught up. I don't know what that symbol is. Oh, fishing. Yes. Oh, Akriti. These are paid readings, and the payment is $12. Where 30% I donate to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey. It's the cheapest you're going to get a reading from me. I'm wondering if there is a curse or something on our family because it feels like we are restricted in our careers and personal lives. It's not a weird question. There's enough belief systems out there that curses exist or people can put the evil eye on you, and that's across many cultures and spiritual religious practices. I do not believe in curses unless you believe in curses. So, meaning curses aren't possible unless your belief system is open to that, right? What I do feel is they're showing me kind of that idea of like, I don't know how much you know of the Bible. I don't know much of it myself because I haven't read it cover to cover or anything crazy like that. But there's an idea of something in the Bible like the sin follows you for 7 generations or something like that. And it's that idea of like when we create something, it can be passed down before 7 generations before it's broken. I just feel like it's not so much a curse, but it's a belief system. wherein, especially until recently, of like this idea of like, well, this is the status you're born in, and so you won't ever like, especially in I guess society's more in like where that have royalty and upper class and all of that stuff, where it's like you don't really class hop. You know, you like it happens, but it's really rare. Like if you were born into a family full of actors or directors or whatever, it wouldn't be a second thought for somebody for you to become a creative person, either a musician or whatever. Like nobody would look at you and be like, you can't make a living off of it, because you have a family full of people who are making quite literally making livings off of it, right? Whereas if you're born into a family full of doctors or attorneys, or attorneys and doctors, nobody would say like, you're crazy to think that you can go to law school. Like, but if you're born into a family full of blue collar workers and your dream is to go be, you know, a physicist or whatever, that might seem like that, because the belief system is, this is our norm, this is what we see, this is what we do. So it's not that there's a curse. And your dad just doesn't understand how his thoughts create his reality, and how we have like 90,000 thoughts a day. Hi, McKeegan. And he has been brought up in like, this is what people do, this is what we do. Like, we haven't ever seen anybody get out of it. So there's not that possibility of like, this is possible to do that, to break out of it and do something new. I mean, I had to fight a lot of belief systems saying like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to do readings for people. I want to connect you with your spirituality, because my family, both sides of my family, are Catholic. There are some Episcopalian converts now. But like that was, so like what I'm doing, there's a lot of, you know, one sister who's a little cuckoo choo, she'll comment on me doing these readings. She'll send emails. I see them. So if she's watching, I see them. I don't respond to them. About me needing to be with Jesus and all that stuff. And I'm sinning and my soul and the devil and all of that. There's a lot of interesting belief systems, regardless of what you have to do. I went and got an associate's degree in nursing. I didn't get my BSN. And my mom was like, you're not really a nurse. And I'm like, pretty much registered nurse. Like, yes, I am. I passed my NCLEX. But she had in her head that it had to be a certain way. And so she couldn't wrap around her head that like, oh no, it doesn't have to be that way. So no, you're not stuck unless you choose to stay stuck. And getting out of that belief system is work, and working against, you feel like you're kind of going against current. That's why I talk about like, it is a day in and day out practice of changing self-concept. And it is a like really paying attention to what my thoughts are. Oh, well, that's not really in alignment with where I want to be. Maybe I need to like, no, have a little chat with it like you would a child. No, yeah, we're not doing that anymore though. Okay. And just because your dad thinks something doesn't mean you can start making shifts and stuff without him needing to ever have a conversation about it again. And you may never change him. Like I always want to say that like it's not that it's impossible to change how somebody shows up, but I think if you can accept like, I don't have to in order to move and do what I want to do and be happy and successful in my life, it makes the process easier. Yeah. Okay. Are we done with private questions? Do you guys want to do some general whatever? Otherwise I can bounce out of here. And oh, by the way, it's not weird, because when I first started doing, like I didn't know I could do like tap in or whatever, first of all. And I didn't know how to find a legit reader. And I was like, kind of like not in a great space emotionally. And I went to this woman who had a shingle up in Houston. It's had like, you know, psychic readings or whatever. And she was like, you're cursed. She was a total scam artist. And so like for a long time I was worried, and you hear people on the interwebs, and they say things about curses and like spells and people doing things to like send you the evil eye and all of that. And I like wasn't certain of who I was or what I believed or anything else. And so it made me really leery, because like, oh my God, what if this is why everything's going wrong? It's not. Julia says, world events. Is there going to be a plague like pandemic from the rats in the cities? I heard New York has a massive problem, and we are seeing them in daytime in our cities in Scotland. New York's always had a rat problem. They've always had a lot of rats, let's be honest. No, I do feel like they're going to be doing more in Scotland and stuff. They're going to be doing a lot more pest control, and you're going to start seeing that come out more. And I even feel like this is weird because I don't know that they actually do it this way, but I see a spraying of some sort. Oh, a little validation for you. I asked about pregnancy for my son's wife. You said 3 cycles. I figured 3 months for reading it. Must have been from methotrexate clearance. They have a positive test. So wait, has it been 3 months? Congratulations. And thank you for the validation. Has it been 3 cycles? Oh, from the clearance. Oh, okay, perfect. Perfect. Yay. Is this your first grandbaby? Any other questions? I really wish I had a sore throat drop. Number 9. Holy moly. My mom got 3 just from me. My sisters don't have kids. Not married either. Lots of babysitting. My mom visits 3 times a year for like a week or 10 days at a time. So that's exciting. Is it your son's first baby? Does anybody else have any? If anybody else has any questions, go ahead and type them in. It's 1, 2, 3 on the timer. Been on for an hour and 23 minutes. Got some little things I'm going to put up back here. I just have to like motivate myself, get my ass in gear, do it. His first. Oh, perfect. He said, I'll never get married. I'll never have kids. Oh, I feel like AOC is going to be in office. I don't know if she's going to be president. And I don't know if she's Black. She's a woman of color. I think she's Latina. But there's also like, there's Black people, like, Black Dominican and Black Puerto Rican. So Kill Rest, have a fantastic week. I just wanted to, like, if there's any extra questions or anything. Is Jay-Z as crooked as P. Diddy? Oh, he's worse. I have a client who worked for them, and I will say, I don't like his energy at all. I won't tell you anything else about the rating or what I got or who the person was or anything that had anything to do with. But I do not like his energy at all. At all. Like, I know people are super fascinated with them. Not me. I don't like his energy at all. Yeah. Like, Could I be cordial and polite around somebody like that? Sure. Would I open myself up to a deeper connection? No. Will James Langford be validated and stay in the Senate? I just tell you, I'm not a giant fan of Sloan. I know she's good, but I also feel like I don't like when she does readings for the certain way she does readings. Like I didn't care that she read for about Prince because Prince has been gone for so long. But I feel like when she read about Matthew Perry and when sometimes it bothers me because I feel like that's such a fresh wound for somebody and their families are still around. And she read about Twitch and stuff like that. And he has little kids. I just feel like, why are you doing that? Like, because that's not for the family. That's not for healing. That's not, So it's like I appreciate, and then I struggle. So I struggle with it honestly because then I also realize like I recognize there's a purpose for that energy. Just like I think when there's readers that are like I know someone who's a tarot reader and she's connecting with celebrity people, but she's kind of. I mean, maybe she's gotten better, but when I have seen stuff, it's very surfacey readings. They're not really connected. She just straight reads the card. She's not using her intuition up. I think she should use more of it and she'd be a lot better, but to each their own. And I'm sort of like, but there's a place for her, right? So it's not like I'm like, oh, she isn't like, it's just, there's a lot of people who don't really want a deep reading. Hi, KK. So I don't know. So it's like I go back and forth in a debate in my head because it's like I don't want to be like, oh, they're terrible, like whatever. Like she's doing these readings and she's terrible. Like I don't want to totally write her off because I recognize that there's a place for that and whatever. But and she's like stuff she said has been right, and there are stuff that she says that I agree with. I just don't know that I read that way. That's why sometimes I'm like not super comfortable. I saw somebody's question where I'm not like, you ask some of the celebrity stuff and like all their personal stuff. I'm always like, oh, I don't know. Like, who does this help by answer things? Like, and I get that it's like an interest of yours at the same time. I go back and forth a lot about it. It is what it is. Right. Right. But I also think, I don't know, whatever. Okay. Wait. So who's this person in Senate? I want to look at their picture because I'm not picking up anything from the question itself. So I just want to see who this person is and look at a picture and say like, ew. Why does he remind me of Skeletor? It feels like a dried up yucky. Sorry. Okay, and then the question. Sorry, I'm like, ugh, don't like his energy. Though I'll say this. I did that reading on Kate Middleton. Someone asked me about her, and I said I felt like she had. I said gastroparesis, but I think it's gastro. I think I said gastroschisis, but it should be gastroparesis because gastroschisis is something you have when you're a baby. But it should have been paresis. And because I said she had a history of an eating disorder, I saw something. It was a blind item, so take it for what it's worth. I don't know that it means anything. I'm always interested in those too. I don't know why. But so it's the same thing. Like I get it. I get where the purpose is, but I don't. I also think a lot of those are plants by people just to, I don't know, whatever it is to say this. Anyway, so, but I saw something where somebody said that she was having a hard time keeping down food, and you would have that if you had gastroparesis. So I don't know. Okay, he's one of the Republicans that helps the bipartisan immigration bill that was denied, and he is having a hard time. He looks tortured for sure. I'm not a fan, but you feel bad for him. So what was the question? Let me see what the question is. Is he going to be validated and stay in Senate. It's interesting because I feel like he will, but I also feel like he won't stay in Senate for long. Like, because even though he does the bipartisan thing, like, listen, our political like people are there's going to be a huge overhaul. I don't think he's going to be in there long. Kate was seen today with her mom. It's good to know she's just on the mend. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that her job or her position in life is very, I mean, there's definitely rewards and stuff, but just the dynamics of that family does not seem fun. Like, not even just like there's perks, of course, to being famous and all of that stuff and rich and blah blah blah, but I just think those family dynamics are a little bleh. She wanted it. She wanted it. And I'm sure there was a lot of other women who wanted to be, Will's lady. I feel like I mean, just hold your first of all, I'm American, so holding my face just right like doesn't happen. um, I think my sensory issues go into overdrive. Just, there's just so much, there's so, like you said, regimented and rules, and many people also look up to, yeah, I mean, I get that, like, people look up to them. I just think I'm just looking at it as, like, on a very personal level, the family dynamics, like, where you hear about them talking about, like, Camilla spreading lies and stuff in order to get favor in the public and things like that. And, like, that they plant stories like that kind of stuff just feels so icky to me. Your face says it all. I don't have a poker face, like, but I also, like, I mean, I've gotten better, ish. Like, when I was younger, people are like, you have, like, when I first met you, I thought you were a bitch because I have, like, kind of like that neurodivergent autistic, like, and I was like, no, not mad at all. Like, what's wrong? Why are you mad? I'm like, not mad at all. Just resting face. I guess I had a resting bitch face. Like, I don't know. I've gotten better about, like, being aware of it, but, like, yeah, no. I mean, marrying into families, if you haven't worked on your self concept, can bring a lot out. I know from personal experience. So, does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I'm going to say good night. Adieu. Happy week to you. What time is it here? It's only 5:30. I guess oh no, is it 5:30? It's 5:30. It's 5:30. It feels later, but it's actually earlier. We just had the time change here, so it should be 4:30, but it feels like 5:30, but I feel like it's 7:30. You're over on the Pacific time? Yeah. Unless you don't do time. And that's the other thing. It's like some of the places in the United States don't do time change, and that confuses me. Like, how do you just remain in this, like, world of bliss that doesn't have to worry about your children getting crabby? I can see where certain things do good, like the royal family, but also I don't know why we still do it. I think once all the boomers kind of kick the bucket, it'll for sure get changed over because nobody else likes it. Oh my gosh. A whole day's worth of work races, of horse races. Um Yes and no. So I feel like there'll still be the monarchy, but I feel like it's going to be taking less and less of a role, where it's more like a mascot, if you will, because it does bring in a lot of touristy money, and that would take a huge significant part of the economy. Um, but I feel like it's in the level of what it is now. I feel like his kids will be, but again, it's just different. Yeah. So it's like they'll still have some stipend, but not quite as much say, not quite as much influence and stuff like that. Um, I think a lot of it has to do with too is like reconciling colonialism and the disservice it's done to a lot of people. So, all right. Devery, did you take off? You're usually here popping out questions. So I'm going to say good night. Um, I hope everybody has a wonderful week. If you are not subscribed, subscribe to my email. I'll send out the email this week for the when I get it up on my, as soon as I get it posted, I have to go into my website and create it and all of that stuff. For the Psychic Development Circle, that'll be opening in April. It'll be on Friday evenings, as I said that before. And if you want a private reading, you know where to find me. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next Sunday. You're very welcome. Good night, Starry Sky. Good night, everybody. KK, Claudina, Joelle, Julia, Regine, and Devery, if you're still here. I'll see y'all later.